SEC Network analyst Roman Harper is presented each week by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit bonus when you use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. What is up, Harp? How are you?
What's up, guys? How are y'all doing, man? Trying not to yell, but definitely surrounded in the airport. Baggage claim.
Oh, so you've already landed. So you're just waiting on your bag. That's good news.
Yeah, man. It's the weather's a little dicey. They said it feels like Seattle out here in Oxford. So I'll be interested to see once we get there. My golf game will actually be able to pick up and play, or do I need to sit the whole day down and just mentally get prepared for the weekend?
So it looks like Southwest. I could be wrong, but I was going to ask you, if it is Southwest, are you upset that they're not doing the general admission first come, first serve now that they've got assigned seating?
I think that's better for Southwest instead of everybody feeling like cattle. But I have not flown Southwest in years. I live in Charlotte, so you are mandatory. You're mandatory American unless something like myself this morning where I had to go to Delta, which then you go directly to Atlanta before you go to wherever else you're going to go in the world.
Let's talk about what Jim just brought up to start the interview. Alabama and LSU, Harp, clearly in an elimination game as it pertains to the college football playoff. College is different than the NFL, right? I mean, in the NFL, you know whether it's elimination or not. In college, it's still just figurative elimination. Is there any benefit to Brian Kelly or Kalen DeBoer playing that up to their team?
I mean, for me, I think you don't do as well doing that just because we already know young people struggle with anxiety and things of that nature and trying to make it bigger than what it is. At the end of the day, it's just the next game. And so if you think this is the playoff eliminator game, win it, then see what happens. Because then the next game is then too. So it only gets bigger from here. You got to understand that and just be able to make sure your players realize that every single game from here on is a big game. But that's because we have ourselves in position to be where we want to be. And at the end of the year, we can do something special. But that's why every game is big going on here from here on, just because you're just in position. A lot of teams wish they were in this position. So you don't put too much emphasis on it, but at the same time, you put a large emphasis on it, if that makes any sense.
If you're Nick Sheridan and Kalen DeBoer, how do you get Jalen Milroe back to the Jalen Milroe we saw earlier this season? I know it's $1 million question for Alabama fans and for this team in general.
No, I actually thought he played really well versus Missouri. The ball came out of his hands on time. He was in rhythm with a lot of the throws. One throw, his foot slipped, but it was the right decision. I saw him throw the ball deep to Kobe Prentice a couple times, and they were just barely off. You know, Kobe Prentice dropped the pass where, I would love for him to make that play. And then one time, Milroe just missed him. And so you're getting some guys back that can help you out, whether it's Law, Kobe Prentice. So you're not just throwing the ball to Bernard and Ryan Williams 80 times a game. And for me, I like that we talk about Jalen Milroe, but when it comes to this game specifically, I think Jalen Milroe running the football with quickness in mind of making decisions fast, right? Where he's not waiting around. He's making decisions now and he's going. None of the hesitation stuff. That is where I look for him being the impact. And then on the run game specifically with the running backs, downhill runs, like the shoulders of the running back are faced towards the line of scrimmage. They are going downhill. They are trying to make those plays and run the football effectively like they did versus Missouri. You do that because in the SEC big time games on the road game and defense travel. And I think the defense is going to be able to get one or two turnovers this game just because Nussmeier, that's the way he plays. He throws the football. He puts it in harm's way because he trusts his receivers that much. So you got to come up with 2 turnovers and run the football effectively from the running back position. You do that, Alabama's got a chance to win this game, I think, pretty easily. Not easily just saying it's the easy game, but if you just do these things, you win the game easily.
I want you to talk a little bit more about – I'm so sorry. You broke up. Go ahead. Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't say anything. Okay. You can't hear me? I'm sorry.
No. It's my fault. It was a little staticky there on my part. I wanted to ask you more about Nussmeier there. As a former All-Pro DB, when you got a guy who will put it in harm's way a little bit, do you look at the tape and you get a little bit more aggressive? You try to play your game? Is it human nature to try to jump routes at that point and let the ball come to you? How do you play that in your mind?
it definitely is human nature to want to be a little bit more anxious, to like, oh, when my chance comes, da da da. Da. But in all honesty, just catch it. Just catch the ones they throw to you. Like that's the most important rule. That was the Carson Palmer rule for myself and my team. That whenever you play Carson Palmer, big game, small game, whatever, he don't throw you a couple. You just got to be ready to catch it. And when you do get that chance, just make your play. Like don't do anything else. We don't need any superhumans. We just need ourselves. Like yourself as you who you are is good enough to make a play in this game. You just got to be ready for your moment and don't let the moment pass. So just catch the ones they throw to you, and that's all you need. You don't have to do anything outside of the ordinary or outside the box because that play is going to come if you're just in position and doing your job.
Roman Harper is with us, SEC Network. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Roman joins us each week, courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. You make your initial deposit. They double it with code next round. Double your deposit. Free money to play with right away at MyBookie.ag. Let's go to Ole Miss and Georgia. It would be impossible for Jackson Dart to come into this game any hotter. Is there anything you have seen that he was able to do against Arkansas where he looks superhuman that can carry over into this Georgia game, or does the defense ratchet up enough that is not going to carry over in your mind?
You know, man, last week's performance by Jackson Dart in this Ole Miss offense was really good. One of the best ones they've had all year, as far as especially within the SEC. But Arkansas never put any pressure on the quarterback. Every throw looked like 7-on-7 routes on air. It was nobody was in front of him. He was very easily making all the throws. Felt very, very comfortable. And so I don't think Georgia's going to allow that to happen. Georgia's going to try and heat this guy up. They're going to try to make him play at a different pace in which he played last week. The run game for Ole Miss is going to be hit and miss, especially versus this Georgia team. If they can effectively run the football just some, that helps Jackson Dart. But I think that's all within the margins. For me, it's going to come down to not even on that side of football. I think Ole Miss is going to be able to score some just because they're Ole Miss. They have so much talent. But Ole Miss's defense versus Georgia offense is where you really need to pay attention to. What Carson Beck is doing with turning the football over keeps Ole Miss in the game, period. If Carson Beck takes the football, Georgia wins the game. If Carson Beck goes out here and throws 1 or 2, 3 interceptions, Ole Miss can easily win this game because the game is on the road. Ole Miss defense is way better than what everybody's used to thinking when we think of Ole Miss. They're much better defense than that. And they got some NFL players on that side of football at all 3 levels. Trey Amos at corner, Walter Nolan and J.J. Pegues up front. The Chris Paul kid at linebacker can run around and really play well. So they got different guys in all 3 levels of that defense that can really make plays. And so if Georgia is not paying attention here, Georgia could easily lose this game because of the matchup and what Ole Miss does defensively and the struggles of Georgia that have all of a sudden now become a sore thumb that we can't stop talking about when you talk about Georgia.
Yeah, and back to those Beck turnovers, Harp. Last year, only 6 picks and 417 attempts. This year, 11 picks and 290 attempts. Coming into the season, I would have said the most talented quarterback was Carson Beck. I still think he's got a lot of upside. But what has become the problem with Beck this year as far as turning the football over?
It's like he thinks he's the only one watching film, in my opinion, all right? Because he's making good throws. He's just making bad decisions at times. He's over here looking over his left, thinking he's moving defenders that way. And the defender watches tape too. Is like, all right, if he does this certain thing, I'm just going to stay right here. And he's going to throw it. And it hit Jahad Campbell dead in the chest versus Alabama. He hit 2 guys at Florida last week, like right there to him. He's played too many plays and too many reps to make those throws in that decision in that time. And so when you're the quarterback, you control the ball more than anybody else. You control everybody's hopes and dreams on that team or organization that you're throwing the ball for. And I think he needs to recognize that. You can't force all these throws and think you're going to make them all. And if Georgia runs up on the right team the right night with these type of turnovers, they are going to lose the game because that is the most important stat in football.
All right, he is Roman Harper, the former Alabama great, New Orleans Saint, Carolina Panther, now SEC Network. He is with us each week courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Code next round. Your initial deposit gets doubled when you use code next round at MyBookie.ag. Safe travels, Harp. We always appreciate the time.
Hey, man, appreciate you guys. Oh, you guys got to answer some questions, though. All right, who wins Georgia Ole Miss? All right, go. And who wins Alabama LSU, and then the best game of the weekend, sneakily, is South Carolina at Vandy. Can't wait for that. Fireworks, because that is a tough matchup for Vanderbilt, even though they're my passion project.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll go in reverse order. I'll take South Carolina over Vandy. I take LSU over Alabama, and I'll take Georgia over Ole Miss. Those are my three.
I think right now, Harp, but I'm not dead set. I would go South Carolina. I would go Alabama over LSU. And I will go Ole Miss over Georgia. I cannot believe I'm saying that Lane Kiffin wins a big game.
Wow.
I know.
Oh,
wow! We're gonna have
lava. Fire, lava.
We're gonna have three different answers.
Fire tape.
I am gonna go South Carolina.
Well, hey, we all locked in on South Carolina, which means Vanderbilt. By the way, 6-0 against the spread as a dog this year.
Anchor down. I'm gonna go South Carolina, Alabama, and Georgia. Those are my three. So we've got three different picks, but we were unified on South Carolina. And to Lance's point, that is great for Clark Lee.
So really, the way to play this is Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, and LSU.
That's the way to go.
Based on our consensus, yeah.
Well, thank you, guys. I will take all that into consideration before I make my picks on Saturday.
That's three dogs. 3 dogs right there.
Thank you, Harp. See you, buddy.
Y'all be good.